and welcome to Centerstage. I'm Melinda Farrell. Joining me, as always, is Lisa Sthalekar here in beautiful Cricbuzz. What is it?
Cricbuzz.
We're nailing it. We're so happy about that. It's been a lot of practice. Not so good news for India, though. They have gone down here at St George's Park to England, losing in the end by 11 runs. It was an interesting game. England looked at all sorts of trouble. They lost 3 wickets for 29 early on. Renuka Singh was amazing for them. She took 5 wickets in all, tore through the top order. And really it was Nat Siva half century, ably supported by Heather Knight, and also an important contribution from Amy Jones. So that got them to 151 for 7. And in response, India, well, Smriti Mandhana, she scored a half century, and Richard Ghosh tried to get them home in the end, but there wasn't much else there for India in the batting department. They tried valiantly, came up 11 runs short in the end, just ran out of balls, really. What were your key takeaways from that, Lise?
Oh, firstly, England showed that they wanted to go hard. Even though they lost 3 wickets and were in trouble, there seems to be a mentality within this English setup that you just keep going. They've got batting depth, and they showed that today. And they've almost realised if they're going to compete and push other teams, India, Australia, basically, they need to find a way to take their game to another level. And I believe they've done that. And with Amy Jones still coming in, I mean, Sophie Eccleston also was elevated higher than Catherine Siva-Brunt. So that just shows you that they've got this mentality, and they did well. It was unfortunately for India, they weren't able to pick up a Nat Siva. Like, she's very important because of her ability, her power hitting, especially off the back foot. And so I felt that it was just probably about 10 runs, a little bit too many for India to chase.
I mean, they looked all at sea, England, first up, largely because of the bowling of Renuka Singh. She was absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, she was, and she's been a standout for India for a long period of time, in the sense that she's been able to swing the ball and bowl to the stumps. She doesn't give the stumps away too much, and they just needed a few more wickets in that middle period, but she was excellent.
Well, what about India's batting? Because it was disappointing on the whole, probably apart from those 2 innings from Smriti Mandhana, and then Richard Ghosh at the end did everything she possibly could, but just kind of ran out of time, really.
Yeah, I think the concerning part is probably in their mind. So Shafali Verma, she kind of predetermined that she wanted to go short. Now the ball wasn't there. So this is when skillful players kind of pull out potentially from that shot, where she just keeps going. Soft dismissals, if India were to look back at how they got out, they'll need to rectify that. I thought while Smriti Mandhana was there, who has a wonderful ability to chase down totals, they were in with a chance. But in the end, it was just too much work for them to do. I mean, there was a question mark, should Pooja Vastrika come in before Dipti Sharma? I could understand the right-left combination. Some would say, hang on, Pooja Vastrika can find the boundary a little bit more easily. So there's a few things that they'll take away from that, and hopefully get themselves ready for the next match and semi-finals.
Absolutely. I mean, it was probably a match really that decides, assuming both those teams win the rest of their matches, decides first and second. So you think now England finished top and India finished second. But who was your key player? Who was your top player for the match?
Oh, it's hard to say. So I'll pick one from each side. Obviously, Nat Siva, she was player of the match. I thought her 50 was really important, but Renuka Singh to pick up 5 wickets in a T20 international, that's a pretty special effort. I mean, she picked up the top 3 and then came in at the end, so she shows that she can pick up wickets at the front and the back end. So that's got to be my impact player. I mean, it doesn't happen very often.
Looking ahead now, India have Ireland here in Cricbuzz on Monday. What do you think? They've picked different teams. They've made changes. Do you think they might make changes again for that one?
I guess it depends on the pitch and what it serves. This one that they played on had a little bit more grass cover in it, so it maybe suited the seamers. I think that, moving forward, maybe give Shukha Pandey just another opportunity, even if it's a spinning track, just because you're not quite sure what you're going to get at Newlands in Cape Town. So for semi-final, so you want to make sure your players have all had a bit of a role. It's hard to say. Like, you think also Anjali the left arm swings bowler. Maybe she could play a role. I think she'd actually be quite damaging with the new ball in hand. So they've still got a bit of stuff to figure out. But as a whole, they're going all right. They just need a few more runs at the top of the order from their senior players.
Yeah, certainly the second pitch that they've been playing on here has had a bit more pace in it. It's the first one that they used here was just very two-paced and definitely a spin-friendly one. What about Ireland? What can they look to get out of this? A big carrot to try and get their first win and beat India of all people. Who do you think is the player that for Ireland could really do some damage?
I think Ola Prendergast. I think everyone's been really impressed with what she can do. Gabby Lewis has probably had a quiet tournament, and for someone, I mean, she's only 22, but the fact that she's been around this international stage for a while, they'll need a little bit more runs. It's the runs that is going to be the issue. I think they've got decent bowlers that could potentially put a bit of pressure on. They're lacking probably in the field and the agility that some of the best sides have. But every opportunity they get to play against one of the bigger nations, they take plenty of lessons from. And I think it's a chance for them to build. They bowled well against England at the back end. England kind of lost a few wickets trying to go hard because it was a spinning track. Indians tend to play spin just slightly better than the rest of us. But for them, like I said, I think they've got to be able to go hard at the top. They have done that against other sides, so another opportunity to do that.
It certainly is. And the way things are shaping up, looks as though we're heading for a big semi-final between India and Australia. That will really be something. Some more games to go though before then, and still not quite decided who might be the other semi-finalists. England look like they're at the top, but who knows? Maybe even New Zealand could come back. As Sri Lanka, South Africa, they're all battling it out.
Well, I think New Zealand is kind of out of it, but certainly South Africa and Sri Lanka are sitting a bit pretty. It all depends on what happens in these next couple of games.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We're loving it. We hope you're loving it as well. So make sure you keep a lookout for us on Centerstage here on Cricbuzz. We'll be back with another report from
Cricbuzz.
Oh, so good. We just need to do this all the time.
Yeah.
Cricbuzz. You do it at home too. We'll see you soon.